AW because they allowed these guys to wear their social media handles on the back of their jerseys. 2020 piece of legislation passed where these collegiate athletes can now participate in monetizing their name, image, and likeness, what the NCAA have been doing for years. So they are leading the way. There's 24 more states to follow. There's some part of the legislative process. So we're going to see more teams, more states do this. California is to follow next year. There's Colorado, but Florida, they can do it this summer. So great job to the national champions leading the way. Charge on. Moguls.
I love it. Oh, Nuggets fans. So listen, there are some markets that feel like their stars and their players don't get the coverage of others. Jazz fans angry all year. They're screaming into their landlines and slamming on their typewriters mad about it. Nuggets fans are like, we've got the MVP. Why don't you talk about us more? Well, there's a flip side to that coin, and that's this. When your alleged league MVP does this with his team while they're getting blown out, turning a 10-point lead to a double-digit deficit against the Celtics, and he's like, I'm done with y'all. It's a minor story. If any of the league's marquee stars did this, if KD or Harden or, God forbid, LeBron James did this, it leads the shows. So, Nuggets fans, I know you feel overlooked, and deep down you're terrified that you're going to get the Lakers in round one, so you're really holding on to this regular season. I get it. But there's a bright side to your alleged MVP not being talked about. This is going to be a minor story instead of an embarrassing moment. But at least Wilds, he now joins Harden, two guys that have quit on a team and might win MVP. There's now two of them. How about that?
But smaller story, big win for the Celtics. Big night for Tatum. We'll talk about that another time. Angels, Blue Jays from this weekend. Vladdy Jr. goes up to his guy, Pujols, and says, hey, my friend Santiago Espinal really wants to meet you. Is it okay if he comes over? And Pujols, great guy, is like, yeah, come over, Santiago. He's like, hey, man, it's nice to meet you. Big fan of your work. Continued success for all that you do, and, you know, we'll see you around the circuit. That's the way you do it. You get in, you get out when you meet your childhood hero. Last week, I met my childhood hero, Michael J. Fox. I got in, I stayed 3.5 hours. I told him every minutia, every detail of my life. What I eat, what I like to wear, what shampoo I use, how many pinups I had of him in my room. 3 hours later, my wife had to actually pull me away from the conversation. Otherwise, I would literally still be there. I didn't subscribe to the get in, get out policy. I got in, I stayed for a day and a half, and then I got out. Lesson learned for the day I meet Danny Ainge. Get in, tell him how much I like the job he's doing, and get the hell out of there. Wild.
He'll just wave the restraining order.
Good job, Santiago.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. You've seen a lot of things on the old internet. Oh, hole in one? Yeah, there was one in the Masters this weekend. How about a perfect game in baseball? I've seen dozens of them. There's only been 3 times this feat has been televised until now. Take a listen.
Right through the face, leaving the 710. The 710 only been made on television 3 times in the history of professional bowling on TV.
Come on, kid, do it.
He did it! He got the 710, Randy! He did it!
My goodness, the Ginger Assassin just dropped the 710. You bet, kid. You bet. Oh, man. Give me some oxygen and water to spare the game. Brought to you by Guaranteed Rate. If you believe it, you can do it. Guaranteed Rate. Believe you will. I believe the Ginger Assassin can drop the 710. Oh, man.
Oh, it's so good.
Just wonderful. Just why I cannot follow that up.
good.
That's like going on stage after the Rolling Stones. That was just magnificent. Congratulations to the Ginger Assassin.
That's
a great nickname,
You got to be cut from the right cloth to be bowling announcer. It's perfect. Time for Drawing a Blank, the NFL Draft. Now just 17 days away. So much hype surrounding the quarterbacks. But NFL.com's Bucky Brooks says tight end Kyle Pitts is, quote, the best player in the entire draft. Hey, Brandon, the team that needs to draft Kyle Pitts is blank.
Well, let's look at it. So you got the Jags picking 1. They're already locked in on Trevor. You got the Jets at 2. And then you got the Niners that moved all the way up to 3 to take a quarterback. So we're going to probably see, quarterbacks go in the first 3 picks. You got Atlanta sitting at 4. So I'm going to go with the Dirty Birds. If he is the best player in the draft, and you have Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and you have Matty Ice, I know they need defense, but you take this guy. You know, a lot of times we go out there and we're like, oh, we got to go reach for people. Well, go get the best player available. And if he's the best player available, I love him in Atlanta. Julio he probably got a couple more years left in him. He could potentially be the #1 guy. Nick, the biggest and the most difficult matchup on the field is the tight end going against a linebacker, the tight end going against a safety, a tight end like this, who is really a slash wide receiver, going against a nickel. This is going to be devastating if Bucky Brooks is right. Falcons.
Yeah, listen, I think he might be the best player in the draft, but I think he's going to last until the 6th pick, and I think the Dolphins need to take him. What is a quarterback's best friend? Nice little safety valve tight end who also doubles as a legit #1 receiver. You want to give Tua legitimate weapons. They went out and got Will Fuller this offseason. They obviously have Devontae Parker. Kyle Pitts, though, would immediately become their #1 option, tight end / receiver. I think he's there at 6 wilds. I think if he's there, the Dolphins have to take him.
I agree the Dolphins would have to take him. I don't know if he gets past the Bengals. Here's the interesting thing. Bengals are at 5. Seems like a no-brainer. Kyle Pitts says he's going to be the best tight end ever. But our old buddy Joe Burrow, it's like, hey, guys, you know who I would really like on the squad? Jamar Chase, my old friend from LSU. Go Tigers. So I'm not saying it would be super awkward if they called up Joe Burrow and said, like, yeah, we know that you were publicly on the record saying you wanted Jamar Chase. We've decided to go with Kyle Pitts. I just wouldn't want to be the guy making the phone call, Jenna.
Hey, we talked a lot about Kellen Mond on this show. The Texas A&M quarterback has been rising up draft boards, and his college coach, Jimbo Fisher, said Mond is, quote, he does all the things you need to judge a first-round player. Brandon, your guy, Kellen Mond, Jimbo Fisher's comments on Mond are blank.
No lie. Look, this guy's been here for almost 4 months. I see him every single day. Look, we're out on the field 3 times a week. There's 3 things that I look for, Nick, when I look at a quarterback. I'm looking at leadership, I'm looking at arm, and I'm looking at IQ. From a leadership standpoint, this dude is a guy. That's all he is just a dude. He walks in here and he just blends right in. Why does that matter? Because you have to be relatable at this position. So many quarterbacks walk in the locker room and separates themselves from everyone else. We saw it, Brett Favre. Remember Brett Favre went to the Jets and he got his own locker. He had his own little office. He just did things differently. We hear these stories all the time. You need to be able to move men, and Kellen Mond does that. The other thing is arm talent. We're out on the field 3 days a week. He makes every single throw. Big arm, he anticipates, he's accurate, he does it all. And then the other thing is IQ. If you don't have it over here, if we're talking about if you're a slow blinker, then you can't play in the National Football League. There's so much you have to do before the ball is even hyped. And he can do that. He spent the last couple months with Hugh Jackson mentoring him and pushing him and challenging him every single day. This kid is ready. Whoever gets him is going to be, he's going to be an asset for whoever gets him, Nick. Just plain and simple.
Well, I'm going with the team that I think might draft him if he is a first rounder. Jimbo Fisher's comments on Kellen Mond are Saintsy. Saints draft in 28. Jameis on a 1-year deal. Taysom's not a quarterback. They need the young, cheap quarterback. Maybe you draft him, and if Jameis plays well during training camp, he becomes a tradable asset. If a team deals with a quarterback injury, you can do a little platoon with Kellen Mond, a rookie quarterback, and Taysom Hill, a veteran H-back. So I think that if he is a first-rounder, I think that the Saints could potentially be a good fit for him, Wilds.
Okay, I have 2 things. I have 1 take on Kellen Mond, then a bonus take if you ever meet Brandon Marshall. Ooh. First take, my answer is experienced. He started 44 games, he won 31. All these other guys don't have as much experience on the quarterback position. Trey Lance and Mac Jones only started 17 games. So I like the idea that he's got a lot of experience and he gets better each year. Bonus take. If you ever meet Brandon Marshall, you better be blinking fast.